Welcome to the Dubcast with Dubside. This is a special guest edition of the Dubcast. I'll be talking to Ida Nielsen, a Danish woman who now lives in Greenland and is a member of Kayak Nuke. For those of you who are into the finer points of rolling, you will enjoy this interview. And if you're not into those details, maybe you want to skip over to something else. Like I'd recommend Dubcast number 56 is a good story. But Ida and I talk about the competition rule changes at some point, and we get into specific roles. She also talks about the rope exercises by the end of the interview. This runs about 50 minutes. I'm talking to Ida Nielsen on the Dubcast, and we are in Qaqortoq. You say that. Can you say it better than I can?
Qaqortoq.
Oh, that's better than I can. And this is July of 2024, and we are in the third or fourth day, the second or third day of. We just had the
third.
Yeah, we had individual rolling, we had the short race, and we had some harpoon.
Yes.
Done. Yeah. And so you are with Kayak Nuke, and you've been there for 2.5 years, you said?
3.5.
3.5 years. Okay. So tell me about Kayak Nuke and how you got involved there, and who's in charge there, and when you first came, what happened, and how did that?
Well, it's a wonderful association. I used to live in Denmark, and I did a lot of kayaking in Denmark. So when I moved to Greenland, of course I wanted to, still go kayaking.
Had you picked up on the Greenland paddle in Denmark?
Yes.
Okay.
The Greenland paddle and the Greenland rolling, I did a lot of that in Denmark.
Right.
So when I left to go to Nuuk, I had some connections, some friends who used to live in Greenland who knew the kayak association in Nuuk. So they were like, "Oh, you should talk to Pavia, who's in charge."
Okay.
So I arrived on a cold January day, and I just showed up and said, "Hi,
Wow.
I like to be a member. How do I do that?" And of course it was winter, so they weren't paddling a lot.
I was going to say, what do they do at the kayak club?
Yeah,
in the
they're
wintertime?
building during winter, so they're building
Inside,
kayaks.
okay.
Yeah. So I just showed up, and they were like, "Okay, you can join. You can build. Here is some wood."
Wow.
And they helped me go buy whatever I needed, and then I started building.
So to get wood for a kayak in Greenland, is that expensive?
It is quite expensive. We have some pretty good sponsors who helps us with the wood. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Nuuk. I don't know about the other.
Well, Nuke has over the years, they've, if not the biggest team, certainly one of, between them and Ilulissat, they're the dominant force.
Yes, we are. But there's a lot of people living in Nuuk, so it makes a lot of sense. And
now,
also we have the heated pool.
I was just going to say. So do you? I mean, they have regular swimming in that pool for a lot of the time, but do you get to use that on a regular basis, the kayak club?
Yeah, every Saturday evening. Yeah.
Wow.
So we start with the children, and then it's kind of not always rolling, also just sitting in the kayak and learning how to
getting the kids used to it.
Learning to paddle and learning to capsize. And then also rolling, and then after the children leave, then that's the adults.
All right.
Yeah.
So to start with the children in the warm pool, there's not a shallow part that's like just to your knees. It's pretty deep, even on the shallow part, right?
Yeah, for a child, yes.
If do you have somebody stand next to them, like up to their chest or something?
Well, it's not that deep for an adult. So, but there's like it goes deeper in one end, so they can stand in the.
Because when I teach in the U.S., for beginners, I like to stand in the water.
Yeah, and that is possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's not.
If you're not in Nuuk and you don't have a pool,
No.
that's really cold to do it that way.
It is really cold.
So I've seen where they'll put on the waders and just get to like their knees and stay on the end of the kayak to roll the person up, but without having to be all the way.
Yeah, and that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah, when the water's that cold, that's a practical.
And also that's an issue with the children because many of them haven't tried to do the rolling in the ocean because it's the comfort of the pool and for example at the competition they have to do it in the ocean and they have to do it in a sealskin dually.
Before they let them compete, they have to.
No, I mean,
in the competition, it's in the ocean.
So it's a bit even.
Oh yeah.
Even that they know how to do it in the pool, then it's a bit intimidating. Even though they have the pool and the other children don't.
So would it be fair to say that Nuuk has a built-in advantage there?
Yeah, we do. yeah, we do.
All right. Have other teams complained about that you know of? Or?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I think we're just lucky.
Yeah. All right. Because there's a pool, it's a simu, but it's outdoors, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's also a very small one in Qaqortoq.
Oh yeah?
A military one.
Outdoor?
No, inside.
Inside. Oh yeah?
Yeah, but a small one.
Yeah, but Qaqortoq doesn't have a big, huge kayak team, really.
No, but they should have.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So tell me about the Danish competition.
Yeah.
And I'm familiar with the Danish Kayak Federation has had an event for quite many years.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. We have a technique competition that's like nothing to do with Greenlandic kayaking
that's the first day.
Yeah, it's more like a, what do you call it?
Obstacle course?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. In a kayak, in a traditional like European sea kayak. Yeah. And then we have the rolling competition, which is, Greenlandic rolling.
Like the Greenland rolling list.
Yeah, but you can do it. Most people do it in a European kayak, so like a fiberglass or a plastic kayak. Yeah. But some people also compete in skin on frame.
Yeah, and they don't have a separate division for that. Everybody's in the same category.
Everybody is the same. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a women's and men's division? Or
yes, women's and they're separate, and then age group. So we have one class called below 18. Okay. So children or young people.
And are there many people that enter that?
No.
Okay, yeah.
There's not a lot. There's like I think the most we've ever had was like 3 at one time.
Okay, so, 3.
Yeah. There's not that many children.
Yeah.
And then there's like an introduction class. So it's if you haven't competed before, you can go to this introduction, and the judge would be a little less hard.
The standards get a little bit easier.
So maybe you're doing the roll, but maybe your hands is turning the wrong direction or something like that. Yeah. But you would still get points. Yeah. You would just, he wouldn't be that hard on you.
All right.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the real competition, so male and female participating to be the champion.
Right.
And then we have usually it's called like plus 50.
The age group.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think this year we are actually also having a plus 60 and a plus 70.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if anybody is joining, but let's see.
Tell me about the kayak that you use and the kayaks that people use for the rolling competition. You said they're fiberglass, but which particular models?
Well, it's kind of different actually. I prefer Greenlandic style. So I like an old Tahe Greenlander. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot of Rebel kayaks.
Yeah. Which is the same design. It's just a different manufacturer.
It's just there's a little bit of difference inside, but it's almost the same. But and also then people use all kinds of kayaks. It's actually quite interesting.
They don't?
They do. Okay. So some of them are quite big, and some of them are like there's some.
For the rolling competition.
Yeah, they do. So like valley kayaks, for example. Yeah. The Avocet would be.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh. So it's really different.
But the really top competitors,
They also do that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. The Frey kayak made from Sweden, the Swedish design.
Bjorn Thomason's.
Yeah. That one is also very popular.
That does roll well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know David Tetchner liked to use the
The rock pool.
the rock pool
Yeah.
easel,
Yeah,
which has a very low back deck.
yeah, but very
doesn't-
big
yeah,
in front.
looks
yeah.
nothing like a Greenland
No,
kayak.
yeah.
But
He used that one and Maya as well.
okay.
One of the girls, yeah.
Yeah.
They're using the same kayak.
All right.
So.
And there are no sealskin tunics. It's all
No,
Yeah.
no. There's a lot of neoprene.
Yeah.
So, there's no rule saying you have to wear a dualik in Denmark.
Okay.
You can do it without.
Do some people do it with just a spray skirt?
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right.
But maybe I can't remember.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the newer people who haven't competed before, but most people have
Yeah.
a dualik, and it's
Okay.
usually the Brooks they
Yeah.
use. It's I don't
Yeah.
know. That's just.
Does anybody use the reed stuff?
Well, people in Denmark do use it, but I'm not sure. I can't remember at the competition
Yeah.
if they're using it.
All right.
We use the Avadoc is from Brooks. That's in the rules. It has to be that one
Oh.
because
yeah,
there's
okay.
difference in the amount of air in the
Yeah.
Brooks and in the reed. So just to
Okay.
make sure that
But either one of those, you can put a lot of air into it or not
we
as
can.
much air into it.
Yeah, we put a lot of air
Yeah?
in it. Yeah, we do. So we want it to be difficult. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And for the brick, is there a different size for the women than the men?
It's 3 kilos for the women and 4 kilos for the men.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same shape, but it's
Yeah.
just heavier.
Yeah.
We haven't done it yet, but we want to make like an improved brick
Okay.
and say like the measurements are this, you know.
Oh, for size requirements. Okay.
And then you can use your own, but it has to be within. I don't know. We haven't decided yet, but it has to be close to the measures from the.
Do you have a way of addressing the problem of people that miss the brick wall and drop it to the bottom and you run out of bricks?
If you borrow the bricks that the association provides, then you have to have a string on it.
Okay,
Because
yeah,
otherwise you
pull it
can
back
just throw it away, and then the next people would be,
Yeah.
I can't compete.
Yeah.
So if you borrow, then it's, you have to do it with string.
Yeah.
So we tie it to the kayak.
All right.
And it's just, it's like when you're doing, I don't know, like a deck or something, like a square piece of rock. So it's not
Okay.
like in Greenland, it's a rock you pick from the beach.
Sometimes they do that.
It's usually
depends.
it's just a rock, and here
Yeah.
it's like you go to the store and buy it.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Well, for the fist roll, using a ping pong ball?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any opinions about? There are different ways to hold a ping pong ball. And you can hold it with one finger and a thumb, and you've got three other fingers, which to me is kind of like cheating.
Well, the rules in Denmark are you
Yeah.
have to close it completely,
Okay.
but you can just hold it with your thumb, and if the judge doesn't see it,
If the water's cloudy enough, it's hard for them to see what's
they
going
can't
on
see.
underneath.
Yeah, so I know that there's some people opening some of the fingers, but
Yeah.
they're not allowed to. So
Yeah,
if
for the forward-ending fist rolls, they just get.
yeah. So, but if he sees it, then it's
Yeah.
not approved.
But as in Greenland, there's no requirement of how your kayak is facing.
No, but
The
in
judge,
Denmark,
is it?
the judge can ask you to
okay.
if you can't see. For example, with
Okay.
some of the hard rolls, then
Yeah.
you could put yourself in an angle where he can't see, like the straight jacket.
Yeah.
It could be an advantage if you are like turning one way.
Yeah.
And sometimes he asks you to turn around because he wants to make sure that
Yeah.
he can see. He knows that there's a
So
blind spot.
he would ask you to go again a second
No,
time?
he would do it before you.
before
the roll. He would
okay.
say, "I want you to be in. I don't want that position." He did
right,
that to me.
yeah.
So
These Danish competitions, the judge we're talking about, his name is
Per Hylsen.
Per Hylsen. Yeah. Okay. I think he was in 2004 or somewhere way back when he was in Greenland. I was maybe a time or two after. Anyway, comparing his judging standards to what you now see in Greenland, what are some differences you see?
Well, some of the roles are different in Denmark than here. So in some of the roles, the hands are facing in another direction. Like the behind the back roll,
Okay.
we would. It's not the same with the hands in Denmark and in Greenland.
Okay.
And the vertical sculling roll is also different. So of course the judgment is also different.
Right.
In some areas, the Danish rules are a bit more strict than the Greenlandic, and in some ways it's the opposite. So depending on.
Well, I figured out pretty much, you can't completely duplicate a Greenland competition somewhere. You have to make your own adjustment. That's just going to happen. Anyway. Yeah. In Japan, they had a very interesting system. You ever heard about that one? Where they say, they give you the rolling list. They say, check off 10 rolls that you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do the real hard ones, check off the easy ones, but you won't get as high a score. So there's a strategy there. And you get one additional roll. That's called there's a name for it, your special roll. It's something that's not on the list. Mm-hmm. And whatever you think will impress the judges, some fancy trick. Oh, right?
That's true. So I got a perfect roll.
Those 10 rolls you do, and that's all you do. Okay. So it's a lot shorter to get through the competition.
And how did they do if it's even?
I forget. Maybe they're used. Maybe the time. I don't know. Mm. Yeah.
Okay. But that's interesting. Yeah. I got this really cool roll I would use in that competition.
You want to describe it, or is it a surprise?
You can kind of figure it out. I call it the handcuff roll.
Okay.
So I'm actually wearing handcuffs behind my back.
Wearing actual handcuffs.
Actually handcuffs.
Behind your back?
Yeah. And then
I've conceived of that one. I've never tried it. Yeah?
I tried it.
Can you get it to work?
I do. Yeah. I got it on video. I can show you.
Wow.
It's very nice.
Because a layback roll, the closer you get to the back deck, the easier it is. So if you're handcuffed behind your back, your hands are in the way.
Yeah. So you have to arch your back to make sure that there's room. Hands. Yeah. So there's room for your hands. Yeah. Yeah. So it's tricky because your mind is also going, oh, am I gonna drown? So you have somebody there with the key? I had a security person. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to find people practicing dead in their water.
No. You should always have a safety person. But it's a nice role. It's true.
So the using the Greenland list. Now, and I should ask. You probably, I don't imagine you do the walrus pull in Denmark.
No, not in Denmark. Yeah. Nope.
Usually in the U.S. competition, anywhere else they go, we skip that one. That was just too dangerous.
Yeah, and also in Denmark, people don't know how to do the pulling. You have to pull in a precise way to make the kayak.
To get it to work.
So it's not only the person in the kayak; it's also the people helping on land who needs to know how to do it.
Yeah. Mm. Of the rolls on the list, when you learn them, you do all of them?
Yes,
wow.
I do all of them.
Very good. Mm. Yeah.
Except the walrus pull, because it's not on this. Yeah.
So I've found this phenomenon where you have people like you who are doing everything on the list. Mm. And like Jan David Jensen from Norway is at the same kind of level of David Tetchner. And so for folks like you, the only distinguishing thing is, can you hit the straight jacket roll? How many speed rolls can you do? And how far can you go upside down? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's true.
Because they do everything else, and then that's the only distinguishing thing. So if you can hit 6 speed rolls in 10 seconds, which is really difficult, that's what's going to make the difference.
Yeah, I only done that once.
Yeah,
6.
Very good. Wow.
But
it was the layback 6.
Yeah.
Right? The forwards are a little bit slower.
They are slower, and it was in Naya, the smaller one.
Naya, Rebel Naya. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. I had one of those before.
Yeah. Do you find that one easier for you than the Ilaga?
In some rolls, yes, I'm faster. So like in the speed rolls, I'm a bit faster.
Okay.
But in some of the other rolls, because it's smaller, there's not as much like buoyancy in it. So I have to make some breaks that I don't have in the other kayak.
Okay.
To make sure that I'm in the right position in the water. Mm-hmm. So for example, the reverse sweep, I have to I capsize and then I wait 1, 2, 3, and then I go. So it's a small break.
So you just give it the time for the kayak to come around.
Because there's not as much air inside the kayak as the bigger one, obviously. Yeah. So it's I'm placed at another place. My body is another place in the water. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So it's different. So now that I live here in Greenland, and I sometimes go back to compete in Denmark if it's possible. So now I have the same kayak in both countries, because then it's easier for me to go back, and usually I only have like a couple of days, maybe a week if I'm in Denmark. So I don't have time to switch to another kayak. So I sold the Naya and bought one similar to the one I have here.
So one of these places.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
When you were learning these roles, which role gave you the most trouble?
They're all kind of, learning roles is always tricky. I think the reverse sweep, I was struggling.
Really?
Yeah, because I was so confused with the upside down. I used a lot of...
Regular reverse sweep?
Yeah,
really?
I used a lot of, I spent a lot of time, not like the straight jacket, of course, I spent much more time learning that one, but that was the role where I was the most confused, because I couldn't understand where to go.
All right.
So I had like 2 people standing in the water, and they were like, first you have to see this pair of feet, and then you have to see this pair of feet, and then I figured it out.
Wow.
So it was I could do the recovery. It was the falling down that troubled me. Yeah. So I kind of got confused in the water. Wow. So yeah, interesting. Because it's such an easy role.
Does that help you now when you teach other people that role, the understanding what the problems can?
Yeah, and also I think I teach it a little different than what I was told.
Okay.
So so maybe I took some of my own struggling.
Yeah.
And
Right.
But every role is kind of, if you're learning something new, it's always difficult. Yeah. But I can just remember how confused I was with that one.
All right. I struggled under the whole sculling role. It took me a long time. To get that one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the roles that it sometimes disappears for me. I can always do it on my right side.
Yeah, my left side on that one is always,
so my left side is like, if I haven't done it in a while, then it's...
I learned to do that in the feathercraft, which is 25-inch beam, which makes it really hard. Yeah. So I get it in like the Naya or the Ilaga, and
it's easy in the Naya because it's so small. Yeah. You have lots of space.
Yeah, when you don't have really long arms to get them around. Yeah.
So but I know what I'm doing wrong, so I'm not confused in that role. I know that it's my angle that's wrong.
Yep, that's it.
So I'm not. Yeah. I know when I go, I just did it not that long ago back home in Nuuk, and I missed it in the left side, and I was like, I just did some. I was like, it's the angle, and then it works again because it doesn't confuses me. It's just annoying that the angle disappears.
Yeah. All right. And any of the other sculling roles, like Isefi Qaqortoq, behind the back sculling, is that one? That one wasn't a big.
No, I do it a bit different than most people. My scullings are very small. Okay. And I prefer not to. I kind of, instead of making, I don't like to make the paddle too long. I like
don't extend it as much. Really?
No. I don't like that.
So if your sculling isn't really long, it's not a wide stroke, is it just faster?
Yeah, fast and small.
Okay.
And it's easier for me if the paddle is not as long, so I don't extend it that much.
Yeah.
Because then I can control it.
If it's all the way long, it slows down how much you can move it. Okay. Yeah.
So.
Because I've seen a lot of times people get the sculling rolls to work. They're really only lifting water on one side. But if you fall in, you slice it quickly and keep going that come up, down, up, down, and maybe get it all the way around. Yeah. If you're lucky. But with really efficient strokes in both directions, you can just steadily bring that whole thing around. Yeah. I got inspired by that one watching Qajaq either to do that roll or at the end of his paddling upside down. You just dip one blade in the water and then back and forth, nice smooth, because he's got perfect lift with each stroke in both directions, and he just brings himself
that's nice.
right around. Yeah. He does it like slowly and steadily.
Yeah. But I was, it's an interesting role because you can't see what you're doing because it's behind your back. Yeah. So you need to feel.
Do you normally open your eyes when you're rolling?
Only in sculling rolls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you looking at?
In the ones that under the boat, I look for the angle because I know I
to see where what the blade is doing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
In the left side, because
okay.
I know that it's not as good on my left side.
Yeah.
So if I look, then I can correct it a bit faster.
Maybe I should try that. From day one, I shut my eyes as soon as I get underwater, and I always learned that way. And
I prefer having my eyes closed because I know where I am, so I don't need to look.
Yeah.
And I need to look if there's like stuff in the water, if there's like animals and yeah.
Well, the best reason for keeping your eyes closed underwater is when I was in Sweden once teaching somebody, and they got the jellyfish right in the eye.
Yeah, that's awful. Yeah.
So for Qaqortoq Nuuk, paddling upside down, do you do that really well? Can you get?
Well, if I practice, yes.
Right. So are you using special techniques to hold your breath a long time, or special preparation, or how does that work?
Well, I practice holding my breath on land.
Okay.
I did a bit of free diving as well.
Oh, that would explain it.
A little bit, yeah.
Right.
But it's the free diving is about moving as little as possible, you know.
Yeah. So if you're trying to paddle a kayak, you're not moving as little
you
as
can't
possible.
it's not the same. It's not like if you free dive, you can paddle upside down. It's not comparable like that.
Okay.
But it's like the mental thing about knowing that it's gonna be uncomfortable when your body wants to breathe. I've gotten to that
jerking part.
Yeah. And if you know that you still have air, then sometimes
you can push through that, but you don't want to.
No, and it's also difficult because you're pushing against your stomach and your lungs when you're trying to paddle upside down because you kind of need to, make yourself.
I've got that jerking there, but not in a kayak. I haven't got that far upside down.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. There was a guy in I think it was in Denmark who took some instruction from me, and he hardly needed instruction from me because he was on a very high level. But he was training for the competition. This is some years ago, and he was having trouble with the paddling upside down because he said he would paddle and he made a good distance, but sooner or later in his head would get the image of paddling under a bridge and getting stuck and not getting back up, and it would just freak him out, and he had to come back up.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah. How do you deal with that? Just try not to think about that? Or?
Yeah, and also I'm, whenever I practice, I make sure that I'm in a space where there's nothing around, so then I won't get stuck.
Yeah.
In Denmark, until now it's been that you have to paddle in a straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the measuring is kind of it's a straight line.
Yeah, and they just measure you in relation to that.
Yeah. So if you turn, you could go really far, but you lose points.
Yeah.
In Greenland, they put a string on the kayak measuring.
I can tell you, they started that at some point. It used to be the way you're doing it. It used for many years it was like that. I think it was Abel or somebody thought it would be a cool idea. Yeah. So they did the whole string thing, and that's what they've been using now.
And we're going to try that in Denmark this year. Yeah. We decided to try to see how it works. Well, maybe we didn't. We talked about trying.
Do you know about when Jan David Jensen competed in Greenland and broke the record at the time for paddling upside down? They started with the string, and they didn't know that he could paddle really, really far. So by the time he got pretty far, the string was all tangled up, and they couldn't untangle it fast enough. So they're pulling on.
Oh, that's awful.
So he got to go again a second time.
Okay.
Which I thought you wouldn't be able to hold your breath this long, but he said no. Actually, if you've had one practice round, you can
easier,
get even farther.
Yeah.
So that might even help him.
Yeah. How far did he go?
It's on video. It was more than 20 meters. I don't know if it was a full 30 or I forget, but it was.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, on the video you can count how many strokes he took, and he's really leaning and getting his whole hand into the water.
Yeah. I'm not leaning. I don't like that.
Okay.
Because it makes me turn, and I'm not allowed to do that, and it's easier for me to just be flat.
It was David Tetcher. So many years ago, this was a revelation to me. You had to paddle along. It was the end of a pier or where there were boats docked, and so there were posts in the water. And he was opening his eyes and looking where the person. That's how he judged. And because I would never think of opening my eyes and I just hope I'm in a straight line. But that was. I thought that was
you need something to look at to make sure it's a straight line.
Yeah. That was very
it's a good
wise
idea.
that he did that. Yeah. But if you got a string on there, you just paddle.
Yeah, so we're gonna try just to see if it's better or not better. We haven't decided to switch. We're just gonna.
Because I would think one way to sort of pace yourself is if you know how many strokes, how many times you get the paddle in the water, count. Say I'm not going to go less than that. I'm going to keep on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So the other day for the team rolling, I counted 14 strokes, which is that's pretty good.
I usually do 30.
30 strokes?
I do 30. Yeah.
Well, 14. Counting on both sides, so it's one stroke,
then
two. That's to be 28 if you count.
So it's almost true. Yeah,
okay,
that's the same.
All right, 30. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but it also depends on how much water you're catching. Sometimes
that's why if you're leaning over, like the way he gets his hand wet, so he's got the full blade in the water.
And also that depends on which kayak you're in. If it's a small or like the rock pool with the really big deck, you have to like.
Yeah, that's true.
Tip it to reach the water.
To reach, yeah. Is there a particular type of paddle that you like for rolling better than for racing?
Nope, actually it's the same.
Okay.
But the paddle that I'm using was built for rolling.
It's a wooden paddle.
Yeah, it is, and it's very sharp. So I
like them like that.
Yeah, because it's easier for the sculling.
Oh, absolutely.
So
totally
that's why it was built like that. But then I figure out that it's actually quite good to paddle fast.
Yeah,
so I use the same one.
So.
Yeah. So I have two exactly the same, and then I have a spare one in Denmark exactly the same. So I actually have three identical ones, and then I have a lot of other ones as well. But those are the competition ones.
All right. At the Danish competition, well, there are English names for the rolls. There are Greenlandic names for the rolls. Are there Danish names for the rolls?
For most of them, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We don't have Danish names for like spine roll. That's just called spine roll. So some of them have Danish names, and then others are storm roll is also just storm roll.
Okay.
But otherwise, we have Danish names. But it's usually not a word. It's more like a description.
Yeah. Okay.
So like the standard roll with the paddle held behind your neck.
Okay.
Would be a whole sentence, you know? Yeah.
All right. So at the Danish competition, does Per call them out?
Nope.
He doesn't call them out at all?
He doesn't call them out at all.
Okay, you just have to...
You just go, and then you figure... We usually do, before we start, we have this list where we check off what we are thinking about doing. But
what you're going to try.
Yeah, what you're going to try. But if you decide, like let's say you didn't check off your storm roll and you decide, well, I'm having a good day, I'm going to go with the storm roll. Then you can do it either way,
really?
Even though
in the middle of the competition you could say...
No, it's in the right order. But even that you haven't checked it off, I mean...
If you haven't checked it off, you can still
try it, yeah.
Okay.
It's just so that he knows...
He's got a general idea of your skill level.
About... If he can see that you've skipped like 10 rolls, then he knows, okay, we're going to be jumping in the list.
Yeah. We were doing that in Stokja in Norway for many years. And I thought that it worked really well. Because we would do the people with the fewest to begin with. Yeah. So that the people rolling got better and better as you went along. It was very fun to watch.
Yeah. That's the same in Denmark. And then he doesn't call up anything. You just stay, just start.
And so how much time you're given depends on how many you checked off.
Yeah. So you get 1 minute per roll.
Okay. Yeah.
And then if you're above, I think it's 20, maybe 25, I can't remember, 20 something, then you get half an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's a nice way to work it.
Well, it helps, and we're still looking at the time. We don't want it to be too fast, and we don't want it to be, boring and too slow. Right. So it's kind of it's a process.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I might find once one starts thinking about changes to make, everybody's got their idea about, how about this or that. It's very hard to get a consensus. Now, I understand that the Greenland rules changed a little bit this year, but I haven't gotten the. Do you know the details?
We did a lot of changes this year. Not just the rolling, but the ropes and lots. I think there was like.
Well, I already noticed the harpoon throwing is to me is drastically different. You get one try for distance and one shot for accuracy, and that's it.
That's it. That's tough. But so I think
that makes the day go a lot faster.
It does. But I think there was about 28 changes in Greenland this year.
Yeah.
It was a lot. So I'm not sure about all of them, but
what are some of the others that you know? I'll get the full detail later.
Sure. I know there's 2 more of the ropes, 2 extra exercises, and then there's in rolling. There's you no longer have to have like 2 centimeters on your kayak. It just has to be above the water.
So it can be like 1 millimeter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it just has to be.
Was there a discussion about that, or what was the?
I don't know.
All right.
It's just I know that it changed.
That's new.
Yeah.
Right.
And then of course harpooning. We used to have 2 shots in each competition, and now it's only 1.
There are no new rolls added.
No, it's the same.
Okay. And are the point values for the rolls all the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right. So the rolling list is.
It's the same.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay. Yeah.
And they changed a bit in the team rolling, the way that you can put together your team.
Yeah.
Because especially the females, there's not that many women competing in rolling.
Okay.
And it used to be that there were supposed to be several teams before you could actually compete, and they changed.
Several or just 2 or?
I think it was 2 or 3. I can't remember.
Okay,
but more than 1. And now they changed it, so it's enough with 1 team because they don't.
If you only have 1 team for rolling, you can still.
You can still compete. You can't get the Qaqortoq, the special medal, but you can still compete and you can get a medal and you can get points for the the total like the championship. Because it was kind of preventing. People who know how to roll, they were being punished.
I remember lots of years we have no women on the team rolling because it's
So
Well, that's interesting. Well, the rope. This is typical. Well, not typical, but a problem with Americans. And take a look at the Greenland stuff. See, when I first came in 2004, I was very interested in the ropes. And we didn't have the list at all. I think we had the printed list, but it just the names didn't make any sense. We don't know what that is. So I made a very careful list of all the different things, and then eventually it got into a thing with pictures, little drawings, so we could see everything that's done. And they had added the Qaqortoq Nuuk. Oh, with a backpack on. You go down and pick up with the backpack. At first they didn't have that, so that was thrown in there. But so I eventually made it's a bandana with all the pictures on it. Have you ever seen that one?
No, I want to see that one.
I'll show you. Well, but what I'm talking about the problems we have in America. We think we write it down and now we know what it is. In Greenland, if they say, well, let's change it. And that ruins, that makes invalid, obsolete. That makes it obsolete. We've printed dozens of these. They're all obsolete now, right?
Yeah.
But the Greenlanders don't care. That's your problem.
Yeah, of course.
So these are.
Yeah, because I'm just struggling to get to know some of these. Now it's a new competition for me, and I've got like these drawings as well. So I got like to just. Still, it doesn't tell me how to do it, but at least I know how to place myself on the rope. So that's very.
Well, I have this set up. So this is which one you do for you go down this way, and that's forwards and backwards. How many points it is? And if you do all the points and don't miss anything,
you get that one.
You will eventually have 261 on low ropes. Alone. So, but I'm told that it was Joanna told me, and this was long overdue. This is officially, it's Qaqortoq is number 26. And then you could do Qajaq on the high ropes, where you hold like that. And then it was Qaqortoq after that. So in order to do these in order, you had to do 26 low ropes, go over to the high ropes, do that one, come back over to low ropes and do Qaqortoq.
That's stupid.
It was in 2007, before 2007, you didn't have to do them in order. You could do any order you want. You could make up your order. You could do the hard stuff, get that out of the way, do some easy stuff, come back. Yeah, it made it a lot harder for the judge to figure out which one you did.
Yeah.
Then they said, okay, now you have to do them in order.
Yeah.
So back then, it didn't matter if that one was, there was a high rope in between two low ropes because the order didn't matter.
Yeah.
But once they made the order, they didn't adjust that, so you had to run back and forth. So I'm glad to see that they
changed
switched
that
it
one.
over like that.
Yeah, and
That
I know
makes sense.
one of the new ones is with a backpack.
Okay.
So there's a new backpack roll.
Is it as classic or different than with backpack?
It's different than this, but
Wow.
I'm not sure how. We made a video of it.
All right. Yeah,
So
I'd be very interested.
well, not we, but somebody did.
All right.
Yeah, but this is. I'm struggling to learn it, and it's a lot different from rolling kayak, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But fun.
Now the women's qualifying score is 30 points or
20.
20. Okay. Okay. You got a good 20 solid, or are you still working on that?
I'm hoping.
Right.
I did a practice. I've only done like one where I had a teacher telling me what to do, and otherwise I put some ropes in my house and trying to do some rolling.
That's the way I learned it.
Yeah, so I did a little bit, and I just did one just before I left, and it was actually quite good. I was like, this is really going. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try without the mattress because that's how it is at the competition. And first time I sat on the roll, I fell on my head. So I was
on
like,
your head?
On my head. I fell backwards. And somehow I...
Because I always tell people to hold on tight. But
well, usually I do. I don't know what happened. Somehow I slipped and I fell straight at my head. So I'm a bit scared now. So I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I'm really...
Which one was that?
It was the one where it's number 22, that one, sitting where you go backwards.
English Tuna in Tuna.
Yeah.
So the forward is a lot easier for most people than backwards. Backwards is.
And I somehow I just fell. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if there's time, I'll coach you through some more stuff.
Very much. I can show you the very short list I have of the rolls that I've tried.
We'll get 20 points out of it.
So maybe I last time I did above 40.
Yeah.
So that's I'm just hoping to get 20 because then my score will count in the total. Yeah, but of course I want to do as many as possible. I'm a bit behind with the points
and
this
you're
year.
in what age category to compete?
I'm competing in the age group 20 to 34. But I'm not.
So
I'm a bit older than that.
But there's some pretty good ropes women.
There are, yeah. So
although Karen Marie Jensen doesn't come anymore. She was the ropes expert for years.
Yeah.
She always got the highest for the women. Yeah. The gold medal.
So it's I really want to learn how to do it. Last year I had an injury in my finger, so I had like what do you call it? Like a
splint.
Yeah. So I couldn't bend, I couldn't hold, so I couldn't do any ropes. So this year was my aim to try it, and something else happened. I got sick as well, something else, and I haven't been training. So, but I really wanna do it, and hopefully I'm not too scared of falling. Yeah.
So any insights in the harpoon throwing?
No. It's not my favorite.
Okay.
I want to build my own. I don't have my own harpoon, which makes it a bit difficult to train. I would love to train a bit more than I do. Yeah. So right now I'm using one of the male harpoon, which is a bit heavier.
So the women get a lighter harpoon?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah.
So, but for me it's easier to throw. It has to hit like with the
point
tip
first. Yeah.
So it's easy for me with a little more weight.
Okay.
But I can't throw as long because it's heavier. Yeah. So it's kind of a
trade-off.
Yeah. But I'm gonna build my own, and then I'm gonna practice.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Do you see in Kayak Nuke? Do you have any people who look like they're really strong, young kids who are really going to go far and be champions in the future? Any rising stars, we could say? Well,
we do have a lot of very good children, so if they continue, they will be very good because they're starting at a young age. Yeah. We do have a couple who's quite good with the ropes from the small ones. And also they're rolling and they're not afraid of it, so that's cool. But it's difficult to, you never know with children if they at some point they change their interest and then that's it.
Yeah. the rolling list started out with, I think it was like 10 rolls. I have in the archives the early list that they were using, and then it went up to 20 rolls. So they've added things, piece at a time here and there, and they could always add more. But there are rolls that aren't on the list. From early on, like records of historical stuff. You know, the one where you stick the paddle under the deck line, and then you use that sculling with it stuck under the deck line.
Interesting. Yeah.
And we don't in the U.S. we don't do that because we don't have the same kind of deck lines. And ours are like bungee cords anyway. We just stretch out anyway.
And I also think here with the seal cord, they break awfully easy.
If it breaks, you're disqualified.
Okay, but it's we use a lot of time repairing those. Yeah. All from year after year after year. Yeah. And that's really annoying. So maybe that's why they don't do it. Yeah. Yeah. I find it interesting that, moving to Greenland and being new in this culture, you have some ideas in your head about how are things and where does it come from and how do like for instance, Of course, I knew that not all people in Greenland know how to roll a kayak, but I was thinking the water is cold. They don't know many of them don't know how to swim. So of course they know how to roll, but many of them don't. And many of them are afraid of capsizing. And I find that a bit, interesting or maybe conflicting because they need help if they capsize because it's kind of tricky to get out of the Greenlandic kayaks. Yeah. And it must be very scary if you are upside down in a kayak. Even nowadays, you have to wait for the boat to come and pick you up. Yeah. Yeah. We had a couple of those during this competition already. We had, I think, 3. Yeah. Yeah. So you had one of the children today. Yeah, that was a bit dramatic. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's you want to take care of those kids because that can traumatize them for life, and they will never ever get in the kayak again because it's such a freak out.
We have like in Nuuk, I don't know if it's the same in the other clubs, but in Nuuk we have to go if it's a child, then there's always an adult with them on the water. Yeah. So they have a person helping them if they capsize or get lost or whatever happens. Yeah. So there's always somebody nearby. He was helped really fast, but of course he got scared. Yeah, but he's okay. He's going to compete again tomorrow.
That's good.
Yeah, he's okay. Yeah.
It was I have it on video from some time back. It was this cute little girl. Everybody took pictures of it. She must have been 4 years old now. She's probably 20 by now. But and it was a relay race, the kids' relay race. Yeah. And she got the baton and she took a few strokes and then just went over. And it was. Somebody got there, but on the video, you're just like, oh, come on. And they brought her back up. I think she was okay later on because they really tried to make her not feel bad. But it was you see these kids underwater, and you're like, oh.
But it's just because when we teach in Denmark and people say, why should I learn how to roll? And we always say, well, it's the fastest way to do a recover if you capsize. And I've always said, well, how do you think they do it in Greenland? Because the water is cold, and I go here and I learn that that's not how we do it because people doesn't necessarily learn how to roll. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's just.
I thought, but for the first time I came to Greenland, I had the impression every Greenlander can do straight jacket rolls left and right. They're all expert. Maybe 200 years ago that was the case. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it also depends on the kayak. Yeah. I can't do as many rolls in a Greenlandic kayak as I can do in a fiberglass kayak.
You're right.
Because it's I haven't built one for rolling yet, so I'm gonna do that. But I use my legs differently than the Greenlandic people do. Yeah. So you
have so much more space in a fiberglass kayak.
Yeah, and they are kind of stuck with your thighs kind of mashed. Yeah. So you can't move at all. And that prevents me from doing I do this really big like hip movement, and I can't do that. So I have to use my upper body a bit more, and I don't have that strength. So Huh.
Okay, thank you for that chat. And this will be a special guest Dubside episode, Dubcast.
That's very nice.
You can look forward to it. It'll be a while before because I got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. But but I appreciated all your insights and views
Yeah, just let me know if there's any more.
Yeah.
That would
All
be
right.
nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bueno.
Yeah, you.
And that is Ida Nielsen. Originally from Denmark, now living in Greenland. And this was recorded on July 14th, 2024.